Now you know how to navigate the 3D space, how to move something, how to rotate it, and even how to scale it. However, I know you're eager, but there's some fundamental things you need to understand because I want to supercharge your learning here in Blender. And that is understanding what an object is in Blender, what an origin point is, the 3D cursor, and then just the 3D space in general, global and local space. Let's break that all down, first understanding what an object is. Now surely everything's an object, and technically, yes, everything is an object, but probably not quite how you're used to seeing it. So, select your cube and take a look at the top left. It says Object Mode. Click this drop down, and it says Edit Mode, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Don't worry about that. All we're interested in is Object Mode and Edit Mode. Let's click Edit Mode. Okay, what's just happened? A whole bunch of new tools, the transforms have changed, our cube now has these weird dots and lines all over it. Don't worry about that, we're now in edit mode. This is where you edit the mesh inside of the object of the cube. Now I understand that's probably a little bit complicated, so let me break that down even further. We're going to go out of edit mode. The shortcut for that is Tab. It's probably the most used shortcut in Blender. And now, let's break this down. So, everything in Blender is an object, and an object is basically a container 90% of the time. Now, in edit mode, you're opening that object. Currently, our cube has the mesh of a cube inside of that object. Now, in object mode, we have this closed like this. In edit mode, we are opening in our object and we can actually interact and change the mesh inside. In object mode, when this is closed, you're not actually interacting with the mesh, you're interacting with the object. This is why I told you don't use dimensions, because what you're actually changing is the object shape, not actually the mesh inside. So when you're scaling things as an object, you're actually scaling any other additional effects that you're giving the object. I hope that makes sense. So in edit mode, we're going to go in. You can change up the mesh inside. Let's change it up in some way. We'll put that in there. And you can even have multiple meshes inside of one object. Then we're going to go back into object mode like so. And now it doesn't matter where that mesh is. What we're interacting with is now the object. Now, let's actually see this rather than just have it as a metaphor like so. So here we are back in Blender. We're in object mode. Our cube is selected. Let's go into edit mode. Let's press Tab. We're inside of edit mode. Now, if you click off to the side and your cube is not selected, just press A to select everything. And don't worry, we're going to go a lot more into detail about edit mode. There's so much here. But for now, let's just select everything. Let's press G to grab our mesh here of our cube. Let's constrain it on the Z and then just bring it up some amount. Okay, I also want to scale this. So let's press S to scale. Then let's press Y, and then let's scale it across the Y-axis a little bit like so. Okay, we have now edited the mesh of the cube object. Okay, now let's go back into object mode with Tab, and let's take a look at the transforms. As you see, the location, rotation, and scale, none of them have changed. However, the dimension of the box has changed because we changed the mesh inside, and that's all these dimensions are actually showing us. But I really want to be able to change things up right here. What if I put this over to 4? Well, now we have changed the scale, which I told you we don't want to do. But there is a little bit of a cheat here. You can apply the scale change to the mesh. And you can do that over here in Object, and you'll find the Apply menu. It has the shortcut Control A. Make sure you have this selected. Press Control A, and you can see you can apply even the location, rotation, and scale, and all of them. For now, let's just say the scale. Click that, and you'll see that our scale is now back to 1. That is the correct workflow in Blender, because we always want our objects to be at 1 scaling, because if not, it's going to really play around with some of the cool things that you can do with Blender. Now, what on earth were you moving then beforehand? Because we were moving the location and the rotation and all of that before. Well, let's move the Y 2 millimeters, and you'll see that that little orange dot moved. That little orange dot is actually the origin point, and we're going to get into more detail about that right now, but I really hope you understand what an object is inside of Blender now.